Hello, my name is Fraser Simpson. This is a Maple Leaf Business Podcast here with Eliza.
Hello.
And we're going to talk all things tax today and answer some questions. We got TikTok live and going on YouTube. So I think I'm going to start off with a couple of client stories this week.
Let's go.
So my first one, the guy calls me and says, we'll call him Peter. Okay. And he says he just got a tax bill for $500,000. Imagine that if you got a bill, $500,000. So I said, ouch. And we looked into it a bit. And there was this famous case back in, I believe it was 2015. So it was in Vernon, BC. And the company accounting name was Vernon Accounting Services, something like that. Two women were running it. And they were providing false expenses. They were basically committing fraud and enticed about 300-400 investors to take advantage of this tax scheme to get tax refunds back. To the tune of about $10 million. CRA caught note of this, and they called the police, and they did a raid on the two homes of the two women. One of the women happened to be an ex-CRA agent, and so they completed the investigation, took all the equipment and cell phones and computers and that, went through the process, charged them, convicted them. They spent 33 months in jail, both of them. Now, back to my client and the other 300-400 other investors, some of which were prominent politicians in the BC area. Policemen, politicians, so forth. And what happens, and this typically happens in these investigations, is that the lead CRA agent that was doing the investigation omitted some of those politicians of that. So they only went after certain people. And the people that they did go after, they wanted to make an example out of them, my client being one. So he got charged with not only the original tax, but an egregious penalty and interest. And since 2015 to 2022, it's now snowballed and turned into $500,000 problem. And that's the moral of that story is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. These investors, the way CRA looks at it is, you should have known better. If you're just involved in a scheme and you claim some expenses and you get to, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 refund, obviously something, that doesn't really pass the smell test, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people on the side of the taxpayer, you could argue that they did their due diligence. It was actually an accounting firm. There was a CRA agent who was an ex-CRA agent, should have known the rules. So you've got to be able to trust people. And when you're investing at that point, you can see that there's 300 or 400 other investors that are doing it. So you think that it's a legitimate
Yeah, because how would you
scheme.
know?
Right. So this is the time in the video or the live stream that I go like this, and which means you can ask me questions now because I know you got a time.
Right, I do. I'm
Normally
holding
you
back.
just like to interrupt me as I go along.
Yeah,
but
I'm like waiting on
you've got
the
the
moment.
cue now.
I have three.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, how would you know that these are not the people to trust? Another one is how the CRA is actually entering your house. Like, do they have to train as the police?
Okay.
And the third one is how come they're separating and segmenting people? Like, some of them, they are choosing to go after and the others not.
Right. Okay. So the first one is, how do you vet out, a tax scheme or promotion, whether it's legitimate or fraudulent or whatever? There's a couple of ways to do that. One really good way is call Revenue Canada and ask for an advanced tax ruling.
Okay.
And so an advanced tax ruling is where Revenue Canada would call the accounting firm and go, what are you guys doing? And let me see the ruling. And then they will then write to you and say, if it's legitimate, Revenue Canada will write to you and say, yeah, it's legitimate. Now you're good to go. But nobody in this crowd did that, right? Because most people don't know that. Only really sophisticated,
Of course.
CRA guys like myself know that, right? Because we're right up there, when it comes to the intelligence level. So, yeah, CRA advanced tax ruling is one. Your second question about the CRA agents and do they train for that and whatever.
Yeah.
They do have an investigations unit. And so what they'll do is they'll call the police. The police will go in and actually break into your home. They don't knock on the door. They knock it down. And they'll usually do it right in the very first thing in the morning. People don't realize that this happens in Canada. It happens all the time. They come in, you could be sleeping in your bed or that, you're all kids and that, all going crazy, go into one room, and then they take all the computers and all documents, desks, file folders, whatever they can find, take it with them, and they use that in their part of their investigation. So yes, there's a trained unit for doing that, but to get to that level, you have to do something pretty bad. Like in this case, there was $10 million of refunds. So, there was a pretty bad smell test there, right? So, yeah, so you got to watch out for that. And your third question was, why did the investigators go after or let certain prominent politicians and prominent people, celebrities and that go after regular taxpayers? Well, that's a good question. Right? And there is really no answer because it's not right? So Revenue Canada does that sometimes, and it's bad, and they shouldn't do that.
And there's no reason for that?
Well, the reason is because the politicians call Revenue Canada and tell them, don't investigate me.
Oh.
I'll pay back the tax. And they come in, those prominent guys, they got lawyers and that. So they'll come in and they'll go, okay, we didn't mean to do it here. They'll cut a deal right away. But for the average taxpayer, he gets whacked. Right. And then what they do is they try to make an example out of them, right? So they'll hit you with that egregious penalty. So there's been, a number of cases in the past, like KPMG, like the offshore Panama Papers. You heard about that, and so there's a lot of prominent people there too. You know that those people the names have not been released, and there's people like I'm not saying it's Trudeau and that, but there was cabinet ministers. No, there has been people on there that have taken advantage of that, but they won't release the names. Right. And so CRA's under, it's almost like, what are we in Russia? You're not, what are we that corrupt? Or, so.
But it can influence politics, yes, and it would be nice to be fair to everyone, but.
Should be fair. No, you're supposed to be equal in front of the law. That's what the law is, right? Everybody's equal in front of the law. But Canada Revenue Agency works a little bit different. That's the point. Any other questions there?
Yeah, you were also saying that you were, some of your clients actually were raided before, or the CRA kind of raided their house. Yeah,
maybe do you want to go to some questions here, or do you want to,
sure.
And then we can talk
or
that?
we can,
There's one, I haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Okay, that actually...
No good.
It's no good? Because you know what that line is actually a line from a Drake song. Are you referring to that, or you really haven't done your taxes? And then the other guy's got ketchup. So, we'll let him answer that. We'll see. Do you do income taxes for people or fight for penalties? Yes, of course, Joanne. That's primarily what we do. We fight for the common man. All right. So back to the rating of companies, right? So I had this client, one of my first clients actually. I did a radio advertisement back in the early, I would say the late 80s. And I called myself the Equalizer, right? It was because there was a TV show, Equalizer, going on at the time. And so I got this client from it I got about 40 clients from it, where they were all caught in this one tax scheme, right? Okay. And what had happened was they all came to me because of this advertising, and it just happened. It was just timing, right? But what Revenue Canada did was, what the scheme was software, and so they developed software, and then all the investors got to claim deductions that invested in the software on their tax returns, which is normally legitimate, except the software didn't exist. So that's a big problem. So Revenue Canada found out about that, and what they did was all the investors and all the people that ran the company, so you're talking about 300 people, they raided all 300 homes on the same morning.
Oh, God.
Can you believe that? So they got everybody, so they got computers from all in the same morning. Okay. And then they charged the perpetrators, and the perpetrators, the two main guys, came to me. And I got them off. It was my best case, and reason I got them off was because even though they said that software didn't exist, the software actually did exist. Okay. It just wasn't ready to be used yet. So that's a little bit different than saying it doesn't exist. So there was some, it was in development. So there was legitimacy for claiming the expenses.
Would they finish it?
They couldn't finish it because they were shut down. by the Canada Revenue Agency. So the only thing I could do for them, which was pretty good, my clients were very happy, was, I just got the penalties and the tax removed, and so they were back at square one, and they were very happy with that. But they lost their business.
Right.
So that's just a couple of stories about the power of Revenue Canada. What they have special powers. They can do. They don't have to act like collection agencies or anything. They can just go in and freeze your bank accounts and give you a 14-day legal letter and garnish your wage. Even do third-party garnishments. They can go to your friends and say, "Are you giving money to Eliza? Give it to us instead."
Wow.
Right. So if they find out who your customers are, they just give it to them and go, "Don't give it to Eliza, give it to me." Right.
Why would they give it to them? Like.
Well, because they would say, "Hey, listen, Eliza owes the Revenue Canada $30,000.
Yeah.
So instead of you're paying her for services,
Yeah.
so instead of paying you for the services, you got to pay Revenue Canada. So it's a third-party lien.
Wow.
Isn't that heavy?
That is, yeah.
That's-
And then you don't know that actually happened, right?
Yeah, it does. It happens all the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they find out. They don't do it really for small fry like you, your customers or your influencers and stuff like that. But for construction companies or small contractors, they find out who your customers are, and then they go to their customer. First of all, they'll just ask for your accounts receivable. If they ever ask for your accounts receivable, you know what they're doing. They just go to everybody on the list and they go, instead of paying ABC Construction Company, pay us. And that's a third party, and they have to do that or they're in trouble.
Right.
Right? So they have a lot of powers.
And you were saying that they see everything on social media too.
Definitely give it to Eliza. What? What does that mean? Oh, hi. What does that mean? That means props to you or something?
Wait, give to Eliza what? He's talking about, hi Kai. He's talking about some kind of something that you mentioned before.
The
money. Yes.
The money.
Yes. Give it to us, right?
Give the money to Eliza.
Give the money to us. We'll help with the taxes.
Okay, well, give us a call and send an e-transfer to Fraser at taxmechanic.ca.
He's in Netherlands.
He's in the Netherlands?
That's
okay. Oh. How do you know he's in the Netherlands?
Because this is one of my pineapples family. This is
one of
this
your
is
what? Your people?
This is my people.
Wow. You have like people all over the universe or all over the world?
Absolutely, yeah. This is like almost family.
Ha ha ha. There's a lot of one of your people. So what do your people talk about? You don't talk about tax, do you?
We actually do. This morning. This is why
really?
I mentioned that in my live this morning I did when I was getting ready and stuff. I was mentioning that I would do live today talking about taxes.
Really?
So thank you, Kai, for joining.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's really great. How much tax do you pay in we're in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
How much tax do you pay in the Netherlands? We talk tax constantly. Good. How much tax do you guys pay?
See, we talk on tax constantly. Plus, I believe he owns a car too.
What's going on with the farmers over there? I hear everybody's all upset.
Oh wow. But you were saying that CRA looks at your social media.
Yes, they.
To what extent? Like how does that happen? Suddenly they're like, I'm gonna go to their Facebook.
It's pretty easy. If you are suspicious about somebody, you just go, Eliza, on TikTok, find your TikTok account, and then you can find out a lot about somebody, right?
But then people lie all the
I
time.
know they lie all the
time.
yeah, they
media,
do. They do, but there's a lot of you can pick up though, right? Like you can see, like some guys are flashing a Lamborghini, they're driving in it. So how can you be doing that? You just reported 30,000.
But they can be driving.
They could. I know they could be. I know that's a lot of people do that, but you see where you can get into trouble by doing that, right? Now you got to imagine trying to explain yourself with that.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, because it's a reverse thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're a big player. Yeah, okay. Yeah, pay us. We're going to do a wealth audit on you and pay us $500,000 in tax.
This
big
just
player.
made me think this is why wealthy people are not posting much or not
that's
on
right.
social media. Listen,
they're
hiding shit.
Let me tell you something. I worked for John DePoche, one of the richest guys in Canada, and just using his name is enough to get a couple of lawyers ruffled if anybody caught wind of that. But what he would do is he had lawyers scour the net every day to make sure nobody said anything about him, and if they did, he would sue them right away. But heavy duty lawyers, right? So if you Google his name, you find very little information on him on the net. But he's one of the wealthiest guys in the country. So how is that? Because he's able to remove documents, and when you got that much money, you can do a lot of damage. But the reason he does that, because he doesn't want attention. He's got a Christmas tree of companies. He doesn't want Revenue Canada checking them out, and he would certainly not be flashing, right? So yeah, rich people do. They're very secretive, right? They don't want to be investigated.
But does it mean then that all rich people are actually doing something shady?
No, it doesn't, but they just don't want to risk that, right? So, because what happens there, say John DePoce walks around and, some guys are going, yeah, I'm a billionaire. I do this, that, and this. Oh, wait a minute, you're a billionaire? Let's look at his tax returns, right? Hey, you only claim 15 million.
Right.
Where's the other billion? And that can be, you can be a billionaire and it can be in different companies and everything. So believe me, those structures can be very complex, right? And you can own, land and assets all across the country, all around the world, right? You don't want them investigating that, right?
Oh, here we go. Kai says,
farmers are very upset. Government is shutting them down. I know, I heard about that over carbon emissions after them investing big bucks in the last 5 years. I know, that's rubbish.
What's happening there?
Well, because what they're trying, it's the left has gone berserk and they want to, shut down. They're the probably one of the most efficient farmers in the world.
Oh wow!
And they're shutting them down because they think shutting down farming where animals and that will help the environment.
Yeah.
And so there's other ways to feed people but it's not true. It's actually going to cause food insecurity. And so the farmers are very smart in that, and they're now rebelling. And I'm self-employed and have a few questions. Do you have time to answer? Absolutely. Go ahead, Papa.
And this one.
A wealthiest old man I knew wore a string around his pants instead of Gucci belt. Extreme, yes. No, but that's
what?
a string around instead of a belt. But I knew guys like that. DePoce didn't do that, but he wouldn't do things flashy. Right? So when they would go to, when they go to a restaurant, they basically, rent the whole restaurant. And
that's
and
not flashing. Not at
no,
all.
it's not flashing, but nobody sees them there. So you don't even know they're having dinner, right? It's just completely private. Or they'll just get a hall and just have a mega, hundreds of thousands of dollars right there. And no, they work differently, man. Or I tell you what, I'll give you a funny story. So DePoce invited me up to his farm once, and we had all the politicians there. We actually had a meeting, a town hall meeting. The mayor was there. So we had a town hall meeting on his farm. And I was part of the meeting. And so we voted. So it was outside of the Metro Hall. So they were making an actual official meeting on his farm. That's the power that the rich guys have, and nobody knows about that, right? Because it's all hush-hush secret. They don't want you to know. But there's a way of fixing that, right? Blockchain.
Do we need to?
Right?
So does it mean that it's bad, or does it mean that it's good?
No, it doesn't mean it's bad or good. Actually, there's a lot of good that comes from that because they were able to. In fact, that one meeting, they developed half of Vaughan doing it, the new business center. And so they build things doing that. That's how they do it. But in order to build things, it's like the Chinese. The reason they can build a lot of things is because they don't follow the rules. They don't have to listen to this and that and go through all kinds of checks and balances. They go, no, we're going to build 14 subways, in 3 weeks. Go. Right? And forget about the safety and environment and everything else like that. They just go, right?
There's this
Wealthiest old man I know. Oh, that's okay. We just did that.
The people I knew were always...
Who's got questions? Oh, self-employed guy. I have a few questions. Do you have time to answer? Yes, go ahead. Papa. Papa was a Rolling Stone? You know that song?
No.
Oh, boy.
Are you going to perform it?
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
That's not the cue to perform it. But cool. That's great. That was awesome.
All he left me was alone. No, it was something like August 17th was the day he died, and all he left me was alone. Pretty heavy, eh?
Do you think
Papa was
he's
a Rolling
referring to...
more
like
likes can attract viewers. Keep it up. Thank you.
No, there's
I'm
no...
self-employed and
no
have a few questions. What's your questions, please? Okay.
But that would be interesting. What are the questions for the self-employed? Because we kind of answered them in the previous lives as well.
Yeah, we got lots of answers for self-employed.
But no, you're starting to talk about blockchain. So how does the
Blockchain, so-
blockchain change that?
Well, there's
Whoa, okay.
oh,
We were just loading.
I sent them. After I pay myself for my company e-transfer, I'm not on payroll. Well, yeah, if you're paying yourself from your company, then it's a draw. So it's a shareholder's draw. And then you have to cover that draw off at the end of the year by a management fee and then report it as a T4. So that's when you pay your tax on it. Corporate tax, and then how much for income tax? Well, income tax in corporate tax for a small business is around 9%. And for, if you're getting up over 125,000, you're up around 50%. So you try to keep your money in the corporation as long as you can. Not sure if they are showing, people are trying to come live with me?
Yeah.
Or you?
We have no with you.
But we don't.
We
Dutch
have no
farmers,
time.
one of the best out there. No, I agree, man. The Dutch
Go!
they're so efficient, and they're doing it's crazy. They're trying to take all that farmland and make it. They're calling it a tri-state. They want to put 3 cities in there.
No.
So and they're saying put it all electric and that, so it's all for the environment now, right? But then nobody can eat. What good is that if you're saving the environment but you can't eat?
What do you mean nobody can eat? Like,
Because you got to grow the food. They're going to take away their farms.
oh. Gee.
Vague questions.
Oh, but
Depends on
did
what
you get
other
that one
revenue
too?
you have coming in. Self-employed income must be declared. Correct. Not sure if they are showing.
They are showing. We
They're
just
showing.
we just read them.
Wherever he left his hat, he was. That's right. That's Papa was a Rolling Stone. Very good. So wherever he left his hat was his home, right? Very good.
Guy, thank you.
Got a brother out there. Yeah?
Now he knows really good music.
That's
so
good music. No,
he
that's heavy music. That's
Oh.
Motown.
And Black Sabbath is not heavy. But,
no, that's not even music. Okay, this is Papa was a Rolling Stone. Motown, man. That's the origin of music.
Mm-hmm.
Black Sabbath.
But coming back to the blockchain.
Okay, back to the blockchain. So there's a lot of that's good music. See, you're right. You're right. So
Wait, is Black Sabbath good music too? No, we're letting the third party decide.
Mamas and the Papas were a good band too. Yes. Yeah, that was the '60s, man. That's when that was the love revolution. That was when peace and happiness and everything was groovy, man. You know?
Trendy.
Trendy.
Trends those days, huh?
Can't miss with Ozzy. Oh, please.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Thank you.
You know, you were riding it there. So back to the blockchain then.
Well, when my followers come in, then
He's only saying that for you.
no, I believe what he says.
So yeah, blockchain is a big topic right now. Right now, I've heard this, actually Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about this recently. He's saying in 5 years' time that all homes and all homes will be purchased on the blockchain and all taxes will be paid on the blockchain. And he never, ever talks about tax, right? Because there's 2 things you don't talk about in anywhere or like publicly for some reason. One is sex and one is tax.
It's money, but okay.
Yes. Well, no, it's tax.
It's a relationship, politics, and money.
Okay, listen, this is not a debate we're having, okay? It's tax is the number one, okay? This is a tax
Sure.
show, okay? Please, just go along with me. How many times, if you name me, how many times you heard anybody talk about tax on TikTok?
Honestly,
Crickets.
me personally, I've heard many times, but just because we're
Oh,
doing
yeah, 'cause
tax.
yeah. No, there's
But,
some,
I
but
never
it's very
heard
little.
no one else talk about it.
Well, let's look at, say, guys like Joe Rogan. How many times did he talk about tax? You know why he
No.
doesn't talk about tax? I'll tell you why. Because he moved from California to somewhere in Texas because he didn't want to pay the tax in California. So it's almost like tax evasion. Like the federal
really?
so that's why he doesn't want to talk about that, right? So he's paying way less tax in Texas.
How did you figure that? Like,
Because I know the tax rates, and plus I know, I talk to people, I know tax professionals. The tax rate in Texas is something like, if somebody could help me out, but it's really low, like about 10%. In California, it's over. Actually, we got somebody just researching this right now. So, what's the tax rate in?
I don't believe Texas has a state tax.
They don't have a state tax, so it's just federal, which is 33, right?
Trump would love to have you as his defense. No questioning my taxes.
I can't talk about Trump. Nobody will let me
schools
discuss
don't
that.
even talk about tax.
Schools don't talk about that's for sure. That's horrible. They should be. Ozzy Today is a special character, but awesome.
But I feel like you also know this person because you knew them from the last life, no?
Who? This Cape person?
85.
850? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It could be.
Could be anyone.
I don't know. It could be somebody
undercover.
I know. But it could be somebody.
Zero for Texas.
Zero
Free
state
taxes?
taxes. See, in Texas, and so what is it in California? It's like
So
something
what does that
stupid.
mean? Zero state taxes? Like how's that?
Because in the states you have federal tax and state tax. Like in Canada, you have federal tax and provincial tax.
Yeah.
So our combined tax in Ontario over a certain limit is 50%, federal and Ontario. So federal is something like 40%. Ontario is 10%. Right. So the 10% tax goes to Ontario. The 40 goes to Trudeau, who just goes and spends it and gives it to foreign countries like an idiot. Right.
Great.
So, sorry, I'm not supposed to talk politics, but because he was a gym teacher or something like that, so he doesn't know anything about tax or economics, right? So
And
that's why I
it,
can say
yeah.
something like that. Now in Texas, they don't have. What they do is there's a premise in tax. Okay, if you say you were the government and you wanted to tax people, you could say, okay, in this room here, we all make say $100,000 a year each, right? We could say, okay, we're going to tax everybody 10% a year. So you're left with 90, right? But that 90, you go out and spend money and go crazy and hire other people. So you're really actually encouraging people to get into ventures and to contribute to society. Now, if I said to everybody here, okay, you know what, I'm going to tax you all at 60%. Well, now you're like, oh, I don't even feel like working. If I'm just going to give 60% away, I'm not going to hire anybody. I'm not going to spend any money. So you see how there's a balance there, right? You have to get, and in Texas, what they think is if we keep the taxes low, we'll attract people, which they're doing. Those people in turn will spend money, hire other people, and the economic value will go up.
That's smart.
It
Smart,
is.
but
So
I feel like still
you-
people are going to pay for creators in California, for instance.
Well, yeah. Well, the other side of it is, but if you do that, that 10% actually can end up then being more than say the 60%, because the 60% is a smaller portion
Right.
of people. But the 10%, you're attracting all these people, so you're actually getting more,
You're raising
right? So I got about 60% income tax, 21% luxury goods, 9% primary goods.
Wait, what?
Oh, so is that you?
No, not yet.
No. That's Kai. That's my guy.
That's your guy?
Yeah.
I
How
got about
come?
60% income tax.
Is
20
that the taxes you're paying? Are you for real?
Netherlands?
Netherlands?
Yeah, it could be over 50%.
Really?
California could be over 50%.
No, California for sure is over 50%.
Yeah.
No, so
it's
how much tax in total do you
12.3
pay?
For state is
Whoa.
where it maxes out.
12.3. But there's a couple of other taxes too that they have. Like it's not just state and federal there.
There's county
They've got
tax, too.
county and they've got other special taxes.
That's
You know,
awesome.
cert taxes, investment, all kinds of like they're
And plus taxes already included in the food and
yeah,
stuff.
Texas it's actually one of the lowest in the country, right? That's why everybody's moving there. But you know what they claim? They claim it's because of all the violence and everything, which I'm sure that's part of it, and homelessness. But the real reason is these big guys are going because of the tax.
Do you mean like the wealthy guys because
Yeah,
of the tax?
yeah. Joe Rogan went there for one reason only, because of the tax, for sure. You know what happened? Remember he got that big deal for $150 million from who's that?
Spotify.
Spotify. So before he got that deal, he moved to Texas like 2 months before. Then he got the deal.
Right.
Please. Was that winky dink? I don't think.
But is it a smart way to do things or like
Um,
is it good to do? Like you're working somewhere in Ontario
You
and
know,
then you'd go to Alberta
Yeah,
instead of that.
well, I think it's probably I think it's smart, because you're paying less tax. But then the question becomes, do you want to live in Texas or do you want to
Right.
live in California or do you want to live in Ontario? That's why I say to people, complain about tax in Canada. I'm like, dude, you're living in the best country in the world. Don't whine. Go ahead. You want to go to Texas and pay less tax? Go ahead. You know what it's like in Texas? Right? They got guns.
Never been
They
to
shoot
America.
people. There's violence. Like you're not like you go out here. You're just like this is lily white Canada. You got health care. You got believe me. You got it. This is paradise.
Is
compared
there is there actually like a best province for tax
to-
in Canada?
Yeah, there is, but I can't think of that. Thank you for asking me that question. Well, I don't know my tax book or, who's the lowest tax? I know that. No, I think Nova Scotia, because they're run by Scotsmen, they're like
Oh, of
very
course.
unionist, and they fucking tax everybody. Oh, I shouldn't tax everybody. They, I think Nova Scotia is the highest. It's
Okay.
it's like 52. I'm pretty sure the top rate is 52%, and I think it's Nova Scotia.
So
You know
wait,
what Nova
is the
Scotia stands
highest-
for?
No,
Oh my God, man!
Oh,
What
what?
school did you go to?
Ukrainian school.
Res-
I went to 5.
Did they have history in Ukrainian
Of
schools?
Canada?
Oh, yeah, no,
A little bit.
literally.
We went
So-
through the
okay.
wars 1, 2.
Okay, Nova Scotia stands for New Scotland.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. New
Yeah.
Scotland.
You know
and
why
Canada,
it's New
absolutely.
Scotland? Because Scotland actually built this country. Sorry to tell you that, right?
Oh, so you were the ones who.
Yeah, we took the slaves over and started. I'm sorry about that, colonialism and all that, but somebody had to do the work, right?
Oh my God.
None of them.
None of it is the highest?
Lowest.
Oh, lowest. What's it at? No kidding. Like, who wants to live in none of it?
Max is at
What?
11.5.
11.5%. But that's just provincial. That's not federal.
No, just provincial.
What's the combined? Okay, what's the highest rate then?
Highest provincial?
Yeah, Nova Scotia, I'm guessing.
Quebec,
Quebec?
25.75.
Really? Wow. Oh yeah, because they're but they don't pay federal tax.
Then Nova Scotia.
Then Nova Scotia. So actually, Nova Scotia, is really the highest out of all the provinces, because see, Quebec pays their own tax. They have their own tax system. So that 25 actually is their combined rate. Yeah. No, I tell you, their tax system is very good. Do you know that I do a number of Quebec returns and that? Do you know that in dealing with them, they have email, for example, just a little funny story. But so when I'm dealing with Revenue Quebec, is I can email them and ask them questions, talk to somebody will answer, blah, blah, blah. You do that in Ontario for federal. First of all, they don't have email. I have a fax machine only for Canada Revenue Agency. Nobody else in the world, right? So
Yeah.
just for that reason alone, because they don't still only accepting fax, they will not accept email. Can you believe
That's
it?
ridiculous.
It's
That's
ridiculous. In 2022, you don't have email?
How do they
It's
work
like-
there, honestly?
Huh?
How do they work there? Like they.
Well,
Amount of time
who
wasted.
says they're working? Maybe they're
Oh.
just, union employees, eh? They just sit around and do nothing all day. No, I shouldn't say that. Actually, I know a lot of them, and they're very hardworking. But our system it's a system thing, right? It's like, the government is their company, right? So we need actually to overhaul Canada Revenue Agency. We should march down to where? Ottawa? Yeah, march down to Ottawa, and with what do you do when you're marching with torches? And no, we should get all the truckers again and just go. We want
Where
tax
does this all
reform.
go? Like, where does he take all
What are the
these
questions?
ideas?
Schools don't even talk about tax. I know.
No, yeah.
Damn teachers. I got about the drama teacher. That's right. Sorry, I called him a gym teacher. He's a drama teacher. That's even worse.
Oh, true.
I got about 6%, 20. Okay.
But
Yay.
that
What?
whole thing started because we started talking about blockchain.
Blockchain, right? So
So we kind of like went into a completely different direction.
yeah, well, that's it's called distraction. It happens after about age 35. It's so you're a little bit of ways from that. But let me tell you, it's not fun because my mind can be having about 4 conversations at the same time, right? So
Mine does too. What's up
does
with
it?
me then?
Really?
Like,
Oh, maybe you're just an old soul,
I am.
right? Do you like with older people? Are you like just talk to them, no problem?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, stop the press and cut that out. Okay, we can't do that. It's live.
Can't do
Okay,
that.
is there any
The
is there any
blockchain,
ageism
the
supporters out
blockchain.
there? What?
The blockchain.
Okay, so there's a big push right now for what is the so there's been a recent development earlier in the year for Biden came up with the world has to have a minimum tax. I think it's 21%, right? Is it 21% for corporate? So now it's a very good rule, right? So, but now the thing is, how do they administer it, right? So what they're talking about is putting it on the blockchain, and I'm like, yes, because this'll be the beginning of. I'll tell you the good and bad. I'll tell you the good first. 20%. So 20% is going to be the minimum corporate tax worldwide.
On individual tax for billionaires,
Oh,
But what's the
on
minimum?
households,
No, but what is it for corporations?
looking.
So, so what's going to be good about this? So now they've got to administer that, right? So how do you administer from country to country, right? You need
Yeah,
the
true.
blockchain, right? So these things will get, recorded. You'll have to record your tax returns on the blockchain so that it's open to everyone. And there's no reason for it. Like when you ask simple questions like why can we not know what everybody's income is?
absolutely. Why not?
Why not? And
15, 1% on stock buybacks.
right, okay, so 15. I'm surprised it's so low, but I'd have to look at that. But anyway, at 15%, anyway, there's a minimum tax rate. Not only for they're doing this for individuals overall and for corporations, but now it's coming administration time. So what part of this is the reason they're doing that because of the inequalities that we have in the world, right?
Okay.
So we have like Google, for example. What they started doing was they put their head office in Ireland, and so they paid in Ireland had a real low tax and almost to nothing. And the reason they did that because they wanted to attract the people, Google employees there, who would then have to pay personal tax, but then they cause economic activity, right? But it's not fair so it's not a level playing field. So if you're paying less tax in, say, Ireland, but you're Google, you're really an American company.
Right.
So you should be based in America. I agree.
Wouldn't you pay both taxes then?
You would, but they're saying that more of their income is being derived from the head office in Ireland, which it's not.
Right.
So they're apportioning the income to different countries in the world. And if you don't have a system for making it equal throughout, then obviously corporations will go to areas where they will pay less tax. And that's why you got, companies or countries like the British Virgin Islands and stuff like that don't have any tax at all, but they attract then very wealthy people there and corporations, and then those people then either pay tax or a lot of times they don't even pay personal tax, but they just spend money and build up the country and build houses, and they get economic activity from there. But see where it comes back to, it's all fair equality, right? So, a company like Google, think of Google, like it's very offside to Apple too. Like Apple is, basically they're building most of their phones in China, paying very little tax, paying very little wages. And so, but why do they get the benefit of that over there where how come we can't do manufacturing here? And it's because of the income tax rates. So if you made the income tax rates equal, then there'd be no advantage going to China or to America.
So like equal between two countries, you mean?
Then it should be equal. Really, for a company like Apple, or Google, any large company like that, they should do, say they have 10% of their business in America, then they should pay 10% of their tax in America. If right now they're paying Google, for example, they're paying 90% of their tax in Ireland and 10% of their tax in America. But they're producing mostly in America. So it's the equality, and the only way to get around this equality is the blockchain. But you can tell that, you know, a lot of people think, like I said, 5 years, Gary Vee was saying it the other day, 5 years, and he's pretty visionary, 5 years down the road that everybody will be doing their taxes on the blockchain. So is there any other questions? Are you about to laugh or spit on me? I'm really concerned about that.
I'm about to laugh. But
Who blow up Nord Stream? What?
I have no idea what that question is. But no, I don't think I do have any more questions.
That's 40 minutes. So you got anybody else in the peanut gallery there? Got any questions?
Peanut gallery.
Huh?
To throw at us. But no, we're at 40 minutes, and next time we're
40
gonna
minutes.
be-
That's about my attention span is actually 20 minutes. So I don't know how I lasted this long.
This is great.
Baseball.
Baseball.
Right. So just
Woo.
we're gonna finish. We got to go to the baseball game
Gonna
because
wrap
we're
it
going to
up,
see the
yeah.
Jays kill the Yankees. Here comes the judge, but Judge, go do it somewhere else, not in our house. Okay. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next
Next week.
and we'll let everybody know. Sign up for our $5 Bill Friday email. It's got lots of good tax tidbits, and
you'll
we'll
be letting
see you
you
next
know.
week. Say bye, Eliza.
Bye. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for coming.